The two travelers set out on that cold and breezy day, each with a different destination in mind. There was Ivern, a tall and handsome man who hoped to find the Amazonian island in search of a bride, for it was told the island was home to the most beautiful women in all the world. Qyburn, with his large and brawny build, hoped to follow the Aspian River in search of the Manticore warriors. There he hoped to train and become a powerful fighter. The two men came upon a rickety old bridge guarded by a sphinx. Ivern stepped forth and said, "Please, Sphinx, let us cross your bridge." The Sphinx eyed them suspiciously and said, "Only if you can solve my riddle." "I never was, but always will be. I've never been seen, but everyone knows I exist. What am I?" Qyburn thought carefully and said, "Why, tomorrow, of course." The Sphinx smiled and said, "Why, yes, you are correct," and let him step across the bridge. Ivern, when he went to follow, the Sphinx stopped him and said, "No, not you," and threw him off the bridge.
Oh God, Jessica. So there was two travelers. One was named Ivern, and the other one's name was Cryborn or something. Ivern was going in one way, and Cryborn or whatever was going in the other way. And Ivern was looking for a bride, and he was going to an island on the Amazon or something, and there was all these beautiful women there, so he was like, "I'm gonna go there." And then the other guy was following a river because he wanted to become a warrior, and I guess all these warriors were by this river. So in their destination or journey, they went to a bridge, and there was a Sphinx there, and the Sphinx was like, "You can't cross this bridge unless you solve my riddle." And his riddle was his riddle was, "I've never been seen, but I exist. What am I?" And the warrior guy, Cryburn something, this big stocky guy, he was like, "Oh, of course, it's tomorrow." And he was able to step across the bridge. So the other guy was like, "Okay, I'm gonna walk across the bridge too." And the Sphinx was like, "I don't think so." And he threw him off the bridge.
There were two men, as most stories start. One by the name of Farnham Leghorn, and the other one is Illichson. Well, Foghorn and Illich both journeyed through the meadows, and they came across a snake guarding a bridge. And they went up to that snake, and they're like, "Hello there, snake. We need to get through this bridge. Will you please let us pass?" And the snake is like, "Oh, you think I'm gonna let you get across the bridge so easily? No, you're gonna have to figure out my riddle first if you want to cross the bridge." And so Illich is like, "Well, I mean, if that's what we gotta do, we gotta do the riddle. Let's listen to the riddle. Let's hear it." And so the snake inhaled, and he's like, "There are two colors, one red and one blue. You can see the blue, but you can only taste the red." And so Illich looked over at Foghorn, and he's like, "What? How do you taste red? That doesn't even make any sense. Mr. Snake, you must be wrong in your riddle." And the snake bellowed. He laughed. He's like, "Ha ha ha ha! Wrong answer." And he took the two men by their colics and threw them over the bridge, where they died many deaths. It was brutal, but wanted.
Okay, so this is the story of two men. Illich and Foghorn. Illich and Foghorn. That's what we're going with. So they were like, "Alright, we gotta cross this bridge." We just, like, have a journey, because that's what, like, that's what fantasy people do. They always have to cross a bridge. So they're like, oh, we're going to go cross this bridge, and we're just going to cross it, and we're going to see what happens. And so what do you know, they encounter this snake guy, and the snake guy is like, he was Irish, and I'm not good at that. So you're just like, we'll just make him British as well. So he's British now. You have to cross this bridge, and it's a riddle, and so it's red and it's blue, and you can only see the blue, and you can taste the red. And then Illich and Leghorn are like, this riddle doesn't make any sense, bro. What are you doing? And so the riddle snake's like, oh, it does make sense. That's what it is. You can see the blue and you can taste the red. And so they're like, bro, we don't even want to try this, apparently. We just are like, no, this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't mean anything. And then the snakes threw them to their deaths, and they died 1,000 deaths. And that's what happened, and it has no point. That's just what happened. They all just died. The end.
Okay, so there's these two people. They're named Illich and Leghorn. Yeah, Illich and Leghorn. And they're British folk, and they went on a journey one day because that's apparently what British folk do. They just go on journeys. And so they were going to a bridge, and one of them was like, hello, let's go across this bridge, eh? And, they crossed the bridge, and then when they did, they ran into a snake guy who was apparently Irish or British, but sounds like he was Irish, and he's like, oi there, matey, you just, he's a pirate too, apparently. But he gave them a riddle saying there are two pills, and you see the blue and eat the red, I think. And Illich and Leghorn just didn't understand, and they were like, this riddle doesn't make any sense, and we're not going to do this. And the snake says, no, it does make sense. You drink the blue and eat the red. I think that's the way it went. Anyways, so they just said, your riddle is stupid, and we're not going to do this. And then the snake person threw them to their deaths, and they died 1,000 deaths. Something. But they all died. And we learned lessons that we don't cross bridges, especially when we're British.
Oi, so one day, two British folks go and cross over this bridge. They're travelers, and their names are Illich and Leghorn. So they go to the bridge, and there's this Irish snake. Maybe he's British. We don't really know. It's a big question. And he said, before you could cross this bridge, you must answer me this riddle. And that is the worst. In fact, it is not an Irish accent at all. And literally everyone just has the same accent. Anyways, so before you can cross this bridge, you must answer me this riddle. Do you eat or drink the blue or red pill? And the British people, Illich and Leghorn, they say, that makes absolutely no sense, and we're not going to answer this. And the snake man, he says, oh, but you must answer this riddle. And it's quite obvious that the answer is that you eat the red pill and you drink the blue pill. And they're just like, Illich and Leghorn, they said, no. And so the snake man, the Irish snake man, he throws them into the lake, and they die 1,000 deaths over and over and over again. And the lesson learned is don't cross a bridge, especially if you're British. I learned my lesson.
Okay, I'm going to do my best at this. So one day there was two British folk named Billy and Billy and Eilish. Bill, no, that's Billy and Eilish. Whatever. There was these two British folks, Billy and Eilish, and they were walking down a lane or something. They come across to a bridge, and they were going to cross the bridge, but then an Irish snake came to them and says, I don't even know how an Irish. Well, I know how Irish accent goes. It's like, you there, you can't cross this bridge unless you answer this riddle. So here's the riddle: do you take the red pill or the blue pill? And Billy and Eilish were like, that's a really stupid riddle. Why would you even say that? Um, and the snake says, no, that's not right. The answer is to drink the red pill and swallow the blue pill or something. And then the two British folk were like, that's really stupid, we're gonna cross anyway. And then the snake took them and threw them into the river, where they died 1,000 deaths over and over. And the moral of this story is to never trust Irish snakes or crossing a bridge with a British person.
Shout out to Denver Comic Con. So, once upon a time, there were these two British blokes, Billy and Eyelash, and they were trouncing through England, and they happened to cross a bridge that they needed to cross, and there was a snake of Irish descent that came upon them and wouldn't let them cross, the vile snake as he was, and gave them a riddle to answer. He says, "Aye, me lads, you must answer me this riddle one," which didn't make much sense, but it's an Irish snake. And the riddle goes, you must pick the blue pill or the red pill. And with that, Billy or Eyelash or both were like, we don't get that. That doesn't make sense. And the snake's like, no, that's the wrong answer. You must drink the red pill and swallow the blue pill, which made even less sense. And so, for failing the riddle, Billy and Eyelash were sentenced to suffer 1,000 deaths. And moral of the story is, don't trust Liam Neeson snakes. Pretty sure that's it. Thanks for playing.